Grande.
Also this week, a working paper from the Congressional Budget Office claims the Affordable Care Act will reduce the labor force by about 2 million full-time workers over the next decade.
The administration has been denying the impact on employment from the beginning. We have seen so much evidence that people are losing their jobs, losing their hours because of Obamacare.
Republican committee aides say their investigation into Obamacare continues. They're investigating the nonprofit government-funded healthcare cooperatives. More than half have failed. Democrats say these investigations and committee hearings are simply hampering Obamacare's implementation.
I think we have seen the very bottom here. Maybe oil prices will go down $1 or $2, but I don't see it at all going into the low 30s or below 30. There are people still thinking oil prices could go as low as $20. I totally think this is unlikely.
Unlikely? Of course it's not unlikely. Welcome to Phil's Gang, coast to coast around the country off the Wall Street Radio Network. The market's up 147 points despite all the bad news in the oil patch, in Obamacare. It's incredible. It's incredible. We have such bad news going in this economy, especially the oil sector. It's incredible. Energy companies, big oil companies, are all loaded up with debt. $180 billion in debt. We have never seen, since the Great Recession, where we now have in the S&P 500 corporate defaults, 100 of them. But nobody talks about that, do they? No, nobody talks about that. So you got the energy companies loaded up with debt. We're going to see probably more and more bankruptcies. You got corporate defaults increasing. We have over 100. We have oil prices have collapsed over 65%. Now we're at $37 a barrel. Now that's what's fueling the financial turmoil on Wall Street, with 50% of the energy junk bonds at risk of default. And yet, the market's up 141 points. We're just away from all-time highs on the S&P. Isn't that wonderful? What a wonderful market. Think about it. You never have to, again, worry about oil. You don't have to worry about anything. As long as we have the printing machine and we keep printing money and putting it into bonds, keep buying bonds to make sure the yields go down, to force everybody to buy stocks, you don't have to care anymore what's going on in the economy. The stock market will just keep going up. The stock market is so disconnected from the economy, it's incredible. And what a great opportunity that is. And how many of you have missed this opportunity since 2009? What are you, nuts? You were scared. I want to keep my principal. No. See, when the economy is terrible, they got to take the market and rig it to the upside. They've been rigging it for 9 years. Now they're going to try to rig it for another 9 years. You watch. You watch. I told everybody. It finally hit. It finally dawned on me. I couldn't figure out how on earth could Aunt B raise interest rates when you got Obamacare killing jobs. Terrible. All we have from Obamacare, I used to love how Obama came out and would lie to us about he created 12 million jobs when we actually lost 2 million jobs. Obamacare is a job killer. We have the oil industry falling apart. And the oil industry is so important to this country. It's incredible. But you want to know what's funny about the oil industry? It's a $141 billion industry, oil and gas. 141 billion. Why do you think that Obama is relying on terrorism? We talked about this the other day, and people would write me and think I was nuts. Okay? No, it's true. Our $141 billion oil and gas industry is falling apart. Falling apart. We haven't seen energy companies loaded up with this kind of debt, the highest level since the end of the Great Recession. We haven't seen corporate debt in the oil sector like this since the Great Recession. But let's take the homegrown $650 billion a year terrorist industry compared to the $141 billion oil industry. Of course he's going to rely on a $650 billion a year terrorist industry to hold this country together. Our terrorist industry employs 6.1 million people between the government employees at the Pentagon and defense industry. Now you compare that to our oil and gas industry, that's 141 billion, that employs 285,000. So let's think about this: 650 billion against 141 billion, and then you got 6.1 million against 285,000. So which one do you think he's going to gravitate to? Of course, the terrorist industry. No question about it. And that's what he's been doing. Congressmen are continuing to fight for a piece of that $650 billion defense contracts. Wouldn't you if you're a congressman? These defense contracts are so competitive, it's incredible. You want to take one of those contracts back home to your district. That's how you get reelected. Not to mention you get very rich, which comes to mind the TSA, as in the case of the Democrat Representative David Price, chairman of Homeland Security Subcommittee, who got very, very wealthy with Obama's friend called George Soros and Chertoff, who, remember, was the head of Homeland Security. These guys became multi-millionaires because of terrorism, because of the terrorist industry. I mean, think about it. Why do they continue? Why do these representatives, our representatives in Congress, continue to fund a loser? Why do our congressmen continue to fund and support part of the terrorist industry called TSA, in spite of their horrible, horrendous report, their performance, rather? We just got a report sent to Congress identifying this TSA airline security is 95% ineffective. Second such report. Hasn't even improved since the last time they did these tests. TSA agents, once again, for the second time, have failed to detect a threat in 67 out of 70 recent trials. The conclusion? The $7 billion it costs you and I, the taxpayer, to sit there and get screened is worthless. So why do they keep funding $7 billion to TSA, a group of overweight people that look like baby whales running around with their bellies over their gun belts or whatever, who wouldn't be able to identify a terrorist if they tripped over one? What are you, nuts? Body scanners. Do you ever know about these body scanners? Think about this. You don't think there's a terrorist industry? Well, there is one, folks. $650 billion. Congress continues to support this stupid and failed agency, the TSA, who has 47,000 jobs. And that's one of the reasons why we support it. And when we get back, I'm going to explain how the TSA are a group of terrorists themselves. Money terrorists. We'll be right back.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
Hi.
The people that are in the country, they're in the country. We're not talking about them. These are people that are outside of the country. So we're really not talking about the Constitution. And it's not about religion. This is about safety. This has nothing to do with religion. It's about safety. A lot of problems are happening in our country.
And Trump's right. Now, and welcome back to Phil's Gang. I got to play this before we go over some stocks, and because we want to go over some of these stocks that are involved with TSA and see if we can make some money. But before we do that, do you remember when Peter King went on that dopey show called Morning Joe with that dope? Her name is Mika. What a name. Here's little baby Mika. Oh, isn't she cute? What should we call her? Mary? No. Jane? No. How about Mika? Oh, Mika. That's cute, Mika. Are you kidding me? Anyways, so listen when Mika goes after Peter King about how, you just want to keep these people out, these Syrians out, these Iraqis out of our country.
We'll start, I guess, with the refugees and your concerns about Syrian refugees specifically coming here.
Yeah, I'm extremely concerned because what the president's telling us is not true. We cannot vet the refugees from Syria. There are no databases to work against. There are no government records. And when I talk to people involved in the vetting, they have no confidence at all.
Hold on a second. There is vetting. There are face-to-face interviews. There's health screenings. Often it takes 2 years for a family to get here. But the vetting is happening, whether you like it or not.
So there she is. They're talking about about bringing in, letting these refugees come in, bring them in through these visas as well. And they vet, especially the visas. Boy, they really do a big job, she went on to say. They dig into your past and went all over. Now, listen to what she says today. Listen to this conversation.
Before they started courting or dating each other online, as early as the end of 2013, they were talking to each other about jihad and martyrdom before they became engaged and then married and lived together in the United States.
Officials said yesterday they did not know that Malik was committed to jihad when she applied for a fiancé visa and came to the United States. So that's, I think, a little bit problematic when we're looking at our visa process, probably. Right? I know I'm going to be like...
No, just enunciate it. What are you saying?
Well, I'm just saying that this is an issue that happened, that somebody came here and wreaked havoc on our society.
Well,
she didn't know what to say because she looks like a fool. She goes after Peter. What do you mean something's wrong? Peter King, you're wrong. You just don't want these people here. You're wrong. They do a lot of venting. And then vetting, and then they turn. I'm doing the venting. There's vetting. And then when this terrorist comes through the visa process and kills 14 people, now she looks like a jerk, doesn't she? Now she looks like a jerk, and she sounded like a jerk. She's trying to dance around. Why don't she just come out and say, I was wrong. I look like a fool. I was wrong when I was going after Peter King. I was totally wrong. Thank God for Donald Trump. Thank God he brought this up. I never realized this. I never realized how bad the vetting is. There's no way. King was right. There's no background. There's no computer background. There's nothing we can get on these people. We can't go into the computer and get their background. And look what happened. This crazy nut comes through and kills 14 people. Got a visa. But you know what? They're not going to do anything about it because we need the revenues. Now that the oil industry, our manufacturing is gone, kaput, gone. Everything's overseas. And now our oil industry is ready to collapse. The junk bonds, you're going to see more bankruptcies if oil stays down here. If oil stays down. Remember, terrorism used to take the price of oil and just skyrocket. The investment in the oil and coal and gas industry was tremendous. Every time there was a terrorist threat, boy, oil prices would go up. Investments would come in. Fracking. It was unbelievable. It was amazing. Now it's just the opposite. So now our government has to keep terrorist industry alive. And that's what they're doing. And remember, it was Eisenhower in 1962 who warned this would happen one day, and warned about the industrial complex, these defense contractors. So congressmen fight for a piece of the $650 billion defense contracts. Now here's what's interesting. TSA. Let's take these scanners. So all of these scanners, let's think about it. These scanners, $160,000 a piece, these body scanners. They were sold to TSA. Now, who sold them to the TSA? Obama's best friend, George Soros. And another former friend and head of Homeland Security, Chertoff. So you got Chertoff and George Soros. They own a company called OSI System, which owns a company called Raspiscan, Rapiscan, who was awarded a $173 million contract by chairman and now chairman of the Homeland Security Subcommittee, Democrat David Price, and the lobbyist representing Soros and Chertoff was Susan Carr, who was the former senior legislative aide to, you got it, Democrat Representative David Price, who was chairman of Homeland Security. And she and Price and Chertoff all have stock in this company, OSI Systems. Now, they sold these body scanners, $160,000 a piece. Remember, they went to auction, got rid of them all, sold them for $10 a piece. They made a fortune. Now let's take a look at the company, OSIS. Go to my site. All you had to do, if you're a gang member, when it turned from red to green, it had a 37% gain. That's all you had to do. A 37% return. It went from red to green. It's Christmas every day here at Phil's Gang with a PT2.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
They just told us right away that we're going to house you, we're going to feed you, and every single one of his medical bills is just all taken care of.
Saber que el tratamiento es completamente gratis nos quita una preocupación de encima.
We have phenomenal research, outstanding clinical care, and the generosity of public, which allow us to treat patients regardless of what it takes. And that's what makes St. Jude so magical.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, families never receive a bill for treatment, travel, housing, or food, because the only thing a family should worry about is helping their child live.
Doctors send us the toughest cases to be treated at St. Jude, and our patients come from all over the world.
When we come here, they told me, don't worry, everything will be taken care of.
We could never repay St. Jude for what they've given us.
Because of you.
Gracias a ti.
Because of you.
There is St. Jude.
Generally agree that monetary policy was not the main reason for the housing bubble.
What are you, nuts? Of course, monetary policy was the reason for the housing bubble. That's Ben Bernanke. Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. He's lying. Listen to this. In December 2000, interest rates were 6.5%. Within the next 30 months, Bernanke dropped them down to 1%. Because of that, mortgage originations grew from 1.5 trillion to 5 trillion. That was by the end of 2003. The housing bubble was inflated, and it was continued being fueled by his policies, which eventually we saw mortgages that grew from 28 trillion mortgage to 50 trillion. He lied. But here's the important thing. We were able to take advantage of that here at Phil's Gang. And we were able to make money because of it. Join my gang, philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande of Phil's Gang. You know, on May 29th, I warned that a stock market crash was coming. I also warned in July. Both times I was watching my technology, my PT2 chart, and it turned from green to red. Both in May and July, we had substantial warnings. We saw the industrials fall. We saw that the market, the Chinese market was falling, was getting worse. Oil was falling. Copper was falling. Everything was falling. But again, CNBC was telling you, hey, things are cheap. Diversify. Everything's wonderful. But my chart was giving me something different. And on both those occasions, both in May and July, I told my gang, let's short the stock market now, because my PT2 chart indicated a sell-off was coming in. And we did. And we had a wonderful ride all the way down. Join my gang, Phil's Gang.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. 877-600-4264.
AMVA, and I've lost over 30K on it, but it had excellent earnings the last several quarters, and they make the cameras and drone equipment. I don't know why it's so weak these days.
It's so weak these days because you don't pay attention to what they make. You don't care about their earnings. The problem is the institutions are pulling their money out, and that's all you need to know, and that's what we identify in the chart, and that's why I become a Phil's Gang member.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com, Phil's Gang Radio Show. You know, we just went through a 1,900-point stock market drop, fastest drop ever in 2 days. Most of you panicked. At Phil's Gang, we didn't look at it as a crash. We looked at it as an opportunity because we were short. Why? Because I was able to teach my students how to read a chart, so in advance, they would know that the market was going to go down. It's all about learning. It's always amazed me, our whole life, someone teaches us to play baseball, someone teaches us to ski, someone teaches us how to drive a car, but there's nobody there to teach you how to invest in a stock, and that's where I come. I think I have the best teaching format in the country. Check it out. It's philsgang.com. So you'll be so comfortable, you don't care if the market's going down or the market's going up. Join my gang, philsgang.com.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. 877-600-4264. 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. You know, many people left the stock market after the crash, and here's why.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
And that's still going on. That's your planner. They don't represent you. They represent themselves, your money manager. But you have to make a change. You can't change them. You make the change. Join my gang, philsgang.com, so that we can take care of you. philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. Welcome back to the Phil's Gang Show. This segment is brought to you by the Phil's Gang video channel on YouTube.com.
And welcome back to Phil's Gang. There will be a new video. Just go to my site, philsgang.com. It'll be posted on Friday. I'll give you a whole background of what's going to happen if interest rates go up or interest rates go down. What's going to happen with gold. I'm going to explain it all. I'm going to explain how we're going to possibly get another quantitative easing. And that's what people don't understand. They just don't get what's going on. And because they're being lied to by all these, people that are in this business. I mean, the pundits, they're the CNBC. They're not telling the truth. They really are telling people the economy's getting better when it's not. Very few people are getting rich, the wealthy, but the everyday guy on Main Street is hurting. The dollar since 2000 has dropped 35%, meaning the purchasing power. Wages are stagnant. Median incomes have dropped. Come on. This whole idea of this market rally of 200% has taken parking space in people's heads, thinking the economy is better, and they're asking themselves, how come I don't feel it? How come I don't feel it? I turn on TV every night, look, a new market high, every day, new market high. How come I don't feel it? How come I just got laid off? How come I don't get any more overtime? How come I just got moved from full-time to part-time? But I see every night that Obama comes out and says everything's terrific. Our health care premiums are going down. Everything's wonderful. What are you, nuts? Let's take a look at some stocks. As I said, if you go back and you take a look at the terrorist industry, $650 billion terrorist industry, the Congress, the president, they are wrapping their arms around it. They are protecting it. They're going to make sure wars continue. This is all we have left. If we lose these terrorists, we're going to go into a depression. We need these terrorists. And we need to finance what they need. And we do. J.P. Morgan finances terrorists. One of the biggest banks in the world, HSBC, one of the biggest banks in the world, finances terrorism. It's called the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation. It's a British multinational bank and financial service company. It's the world's fourth largest bank with $2.7 trillion in assets. And what they do, they're the front for J.P. Morgan and CIA and the Saudi Arabia. How do you look at, if you're going to be in the defense industry, you got to sell that crap. And who are you going to sell it to? Just the United States government? No, they sell it to anybody. And who's the anybody? Al-Qaeda and ISIS, they sell it, but someone's got to finance it. Even ISIS has to finance the weapons they buy. And J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they step up to the plate. Now I'm going to give you examples of that in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the stocks. The market's up 105 points. We're in a very narrow trading range, and we're going to stay in a very narrow trading range until we get to next Wednesday when they tell us we're going to have this interest rate hike. Just remember what I'm telling you. Make sure you are positioned. Make sure your planner, make sure your money manager positions you so if they don't raise rates, that you be positioned to catch gold. Because gold will soar. It is so depressed